Hello healers and health seekers, it's me, Ichoda, healing with medical medium information for 3 years and 9 months now. If you want to know all of the symptoms and conditions I have been diagnosed with and am healing from, in the description box below will tell you. Today it's time for What's Up Wednesday, and I'm speaking a little bit more slowly and a little bit more gingerly because I haven't made a video in a while. The reason for that is I am recovering from an emergency surgery that I had to have. It was a gallbladder surgery and I had to have my gallbladder out, and yeah, it was a surprise, and I am still recovering from it, but I feel like I'm strong enough today to make a video, so I wanted to tell everybody about it. So, I mean, there's a lot to tell, and it might take more than one video to kind of go back over it and really tell the whole story, but I think it was about a week and a half ago or 2 weeks ago, not entirely sure. I think it was about a week and a half ago. You know how I've talked about having those episodes where it starts in my upper abdomen and it's pushing down, and I'm on the toilet and I'm vomiting and stuff like that, and it goes on for a couple hours, but then it stops, and the next day I'm okay, and I just take it easy on my digestion and juices and smoothies and stuff like that. And I've been eating primarily raw lately no, not primarily. I've been eating exclusively raw lately or I had been, to calm everything down, and also not even very many greens because the greens have that sweeping motion that seems to start it off. Not motion, that sweeping action. Like greens sweep you out, they sweep out your intestines. It seemed to me that there was something going on in my intestines, that there was some kind of little blockage that was, it's like I could do greens, but I had to be careful because I didn't want too much purging. So, and when you're eating only raw and no fat, that's all you're doing is kind of detoxing. So I haven't really spoken very much since my surgery. I think I've had one phone conversation, and I haven't really had any conversations. I haven't felt strong enough to, so this is going to be like my first sort of speaking part where I do a monologue and talk for an extended period of time. So forgive me if my voice is weak. My whole body's a little bit weak. I'm a little bit shaky. It's kind of hard to hold myself up. But I am recovering, and I am doing pretty friggin' well, if you ask me. And I'm not quite to the point where I can make all my own foods yet or anything like that, but I'm getting there. I'm getting stronger. I try to get up and walk around a little bit around the room a few times a day, and I try to just do what I can, but mostly I'm resting and just taking in a lot of raw food. And I did start eating a little bit of cooked food just to kind of fill me up in the evenings so I go to sleep with a full belly. Recovery has been, in my opinion, a bit slow, but they put a lot of drugs into my body, and I haven't put any unnatural substances like that in my body in over 3 years, and it was quite a shock to my system to have. I mean, I had the anesthetic of the surgery, I had opiates in me. I thought I was allergic to all opiates, but turns out opiates are the only painkillers they have, and they gave me fentanyl in the emergency room, and I tolerated it. So they were like, well, you're not allergic to all opiates. And I was like, well, I mean, I hadn't tried all opiates, so I guess I don't know for sure that I'm allergic to all opiates. I just assumed by my reactions to some other ones that I knew I had that I couldn't take. I just felt it was easier to say all. Plus, I don't really want opiates in my body, so I'm good with just saying I'm allergic to all opiates. But they were like, well, this is an emergency situation, so you need something, because the pain was so bad. And I did not know this, but fentanyl is stronger than morphine. So And I know I'm allergic to morphine, so I know I can't take that. It messes me up. But somehow fentanyl, I don't know, they just talked me into it and it worked. And I was like, okay, let's just keep taking that. Because again, I didn't know. I didn't know how strong it was. I'm not well versed on opiates. It's just not something I'm in the know about. So I learned some things. And I was able to take Dilaudid after that. But the Dilaudid, there was this other drug that I can't remember the name of that they gave me with the Dilaudid to sort of, it was supposed to take the nausea away, and it was supposed to enhance the effects of the Dilaudid, and it did. It did what it was supposed to do, but it also caused really unpleasant hallucinations that just felt like evil running through my veins, and the sight of them every time I closed my eyes, seeing them and having that, I couldn't, man, I didn't want it. So within about, I don't know, three days of being in the hospital, I asked if we could stop the Dilaudid because I asked them to take that medication out. I can't remember the name of it. And they took it out, but it didn't stop the hallucinations. And so I was like, well, get this Dilaudid out of me. I don't like it. And then the nurse said, well, let's just see how long you can go between doses, and maybe, you know, let's see if you really can be okay without it. And I was like, okay. And I managed to go pretty long. And then and then I said, well, okay, instead of taking this Dilaudid, can we try something like Tylenol? So I took a Tylenol instead. None of this stuff's good for your liver, but I know I can detox it out. So in emergency situations, sometimes you gotta do what you gotta do. So I took a Tylenol when I did finally feel like I needed pain, but I went a pretty long time before I needed it. And then after that, I took nothing. And I didn't have any pain, and I took nothing else after that. So yay me, I'm pretty impressed with that, because I thought I was needing the painkiller, and it just turned out that, yeah, I didn't need it. So that was really good. Oh, I guess I didn't finish saying what happened, the episodes. So I had this episode that went on for way longer than all the episodes had, and it wasn't stopping. And I kept, for hours, was vomiting, and there was a great amount of pain that had gone. It wasn't just in the upper part of my abdomen anymore, and it wasn't pushing through, it had moved over to my right side. And it was hours, and I emergency contacted a practitioner that I really trust, and spoke to them, and they said, you know, sometimes you might, you know, they just said, oh, I can't remember what they said at that point, because it becomes a blur. But okay, so I did contact them in the middle of it, and at some point in the next 2 days, the pain just got worse, and I couldn't keep anything down, and I was getting really dehydrated. And I started to think maybe I do need to go to a hospital because something's really wrong. And I contacted that practitioner again, and they're very intuitive, and they confirmed that probably that what was going on was my gallbladder, and that it would be okay to take it out. Like, you know, medical medium says we can live without a gallbladder, so it's okay. So I got that reassurance, and I went into the hospital, and the doctor said, it's your gallbladder. The surgeon said, it's your gallbladder and it needs to come out. And I asked if it had to be like right that minute, or if I could have like another day to just sort of process it and think about it. And he said, well, it's your body. You can do what you want. He said, my advice is take it out right now. I'd like to do it now, but he said it'd be okay if you do another day, but like let him know in the morning. And I said, okay, I will. And he stressed that if I didn't have it out, you know, that I could die. So it's really important to decide pretty quickly. And I did. I took that time, and I processed it, and I spoke more to the practitioner that I super trust, and I came to a peace about it, you know. I was like, okay, I've never had a surgery in my life. Not a real one. I mean, I had my wisdom teeth out, but like, that's it. Never had a surgery where they cut into my body. So of course I was a little bit, you know, apprehensive and scared about that. On the other hand, not ready to leave my family. So I thought, okay, well, if this needs to be done, it needs to be done, and I'll do it. So I made peace with it overnight, and then in the morning, we let the surgeon know that we're gonna go ahead. So he's got me scheduled for, I don't know, whenever. It's hospital time, it's all a blur. They got me scheduled, I think probably early in the afternoon or something. And took my gallbladder out. It was really intense. When I woke up from the anesthetic, I was sobbing. I'm an emotional person, as you know if you watch my videos. And I was just sobbing, crying. And the nurse was not a compassionate nurse. I don't know who allowed her to work in an OR, but she was a mean woman. Kind of sadistic, actually. I think she was just like she kept sighing and being like really exasperated with me, like, oh God. She's like, oh, are you an emotional person anyway? And I was like, yeah. As I'm sobbing, I'm like, yeah. And she's like, oh God. And like, she was really mean. She was a really mean person. However, 99% of the other nurses, there was only one other mean nurse, and that was the nurse I had had the night before. That nurse, interestingly, both of the mean nurses, their names began with an S, Sharon and Sandy. And that nurse, Sandy, was angry with me because I did not consent. She was like, oh, you refused the surgery. Don't you know you're gonna die and all this stuff? And I was like, I didn't refuse the surgery. I asked the surgeon if I could think about it until morning. I didn't refuse it. I just need some time to process. So she wasn't very kind or compassionate. Again, don't know why she was a nurse. Like, not the right field to be in if you're a mean, bitter person. But I just requested never to have her again, and I never saw her again. So, yay. And literally all of the other nurses that took care of me while I was in the hospital were angels. They were nurses. They were in the right field. They were beautiful people. I have such a high admiration and respect for nurses. My mother was a nurse. And in all medical situations where I've been very vulnerable and afraid, the nurses were the angels that were there to hold my hand. So literally and figuratively. So I have a great appreciation for them. So those are my only bad nurse experiences, were those first ones. And again, the other ones were all just super sweet and super helpful and super compassionate. And they'd chat with me and they'd listen to me and they'd, you know, they just were there. They helped me go to the bathroom. They helped me with everything. And one of them was like super awesome. She even like fully advocated for me when I was asking for Benadryl in my IV so that I could try to take this other medication because I was afraid I was going to react to it. And the doctor didn't want to give me IV Benadryl. He was like, no, you can take oral. And I'm like, no, I can't. I have mast cell activation disorder. I can't take oral Benadryl because it usually contains additives that I can't have. And I don't know what, the doctor was just being weird that day because he wasn't like that before or after. But that one day he got all weird about things. And I hadn't even ever asked for IV Benadryl before. They had given it to me in the OR preemptively because of some of the anesthetic, and they knew I had mast cell activation disorder and Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, so they were taking the precautions, and they gave me IV Benadryl, which was even what gave me the idea to have IV Benadryl because I don't usually take that stuff. And they're like, well, what do you do at home for this stuff? And I'm like, I don't have these things happen at home because I keep a chemical-free house and I don't have exposures to things. And if I'm out somewhere and I get an exposure, I can leave. I can't leave here and I can't get away from this, so I have to take some precautions. And anyway, this nurse like fully advocated for me. She was amazing. Like, she was like, because I was telling her the situation and she just understood, and she called the doctor back and she's like, listen, I don't know what she said to him, but she's like, I can be very persuasive. And I was like, bless you. It made me cry because she full on advocated for me, and she got this doctor to give me what I needed. And I didn't end up needing it again. It was just that one time. But I was so moved by that. I guess I'm emotional today, you guys. I guess I didn't realize that the retelling of this story was going to bring up so much emotion, but I guess I went through some stuff. So so bear with me. So in the hospital, every morning they would test my white blood cell count, because my white blood cell count was at, I don't know, I remember this much. I remember one day it was at 23 after the surgery. The next day it had only gone down to 22,000. They want it below 10. Like anything above 10, they get a little worried about. So they want it below 10 before they want to, you know, let me leave the hospital. And a couple days in, even when I was still on the Dilaudid, but then after I went off of it, I couldn't sleep for like 3 days. I couldn't sleep. And everybody here knows that sleep deprivation is a form of torture, and not being able to rest and sleep after you've had a surgery and when your body needs to rest the most. Like I was resting, but I couldn't sleep. And thank God we know from medical medium that even resting is, your body can heal and recover even resting, even if you're not sleeping. And my body was, but I emotionally and mentally was not. Like it was just messing with me so bad, not being able to sleep. And they had a TV there which had home improvement shows, which are like I love those. And so I binge watched a bunch of that stuff and found like a new show I'd never seen before, because I don't have TV. But I had had enough of it. I was like, I don't care. I don't care about this. I don't want to watch TV anymore. I'm so sick of it. And I just couldn't sleep, and I couldn't sleep. And then I posted on Instagram and I asked you guys to pray for me that my white blood cell count would go down so I could go home. And everybody prayed. And my white blood cell count the next day went down from 22,000 to 12,000. And that was amazing. That was like a miracle. I was so happy because I wasn't feeling better. I felt horrible because I was just like, I wasn't in pain, but I was just full of all the toxins and drugs, and the air in the hospital was so, my nervous system was so overloaded, and there were so many, like there was just chemicals, you know, from the hand sanitizer and all the stuff they use and the cleaning stuff. And it was starting to get to me. When my nervous system is overloaded, smells will be so much stronger to me, and they will feel so much more toxic to me because I just don't have the capacity for them. I don't have the capacity for the extra chemical load on my body, and the air was so dry it felt like sand going into my lungs. And I was just like, please, please God, get me out of here. Like, please just, I was praying to the angels and I was praying to God, and I was like, please get me out of here. And that morning, after the first doctor, and it was a different doctor than I had had before. The doctor did the rounds, and she or he, now I don't remember. Anyway, they saw how much my white blood cell count had gone down, and it wasn't below 10 yet, but it had gone down 10,000 overnight. That's, it felt miraculous to me. So that doctor said, I said, will I be able to go home today? I am so tired and I need rest and I just want to go home. And they said, I don't see why not. Yes. And so I took that and I held on to it because I was like, okay. So then when the surgeon came in and she looked it over and she was like, well, probably keep you another day. And I said, oh, please. And I begged her. I said, please, please, please let me go home. I said, it's going down. It's gonna get better. I said, I just need to go home so I can sleep. I said, I haven't been able to sleep in here in 3 days. I just need rest and I need to get out of this dry air. It's killing me because I can't breathe. Because every time I try to lay down to sleep, so here's the problem. Every time it's not that I couldn't fall asleep. It's that every time I would try to close my eyes and sleep, and I was even sitting up and everything, because I couldn't lay down, it would relax here and I'd start coughing. And when I coughed, I peed. And when I peed, I of course had to get up and go into the bathroom. So it was the cycle of every single time I would relax, I'd cough and pee and then have to get up and go to the bathroom. So you can't get any rest that way. And I also went through like all my underwear, all my pants, all my clothes, all my, I had my husband bring all my pads and stuff, and it was just like a mess. It was a mess. It was so embarrassing. No, you know what? It wasn't. I had lost all modesty at that point. It would have been embarrassing in another situation, but because I was just vulnerable, and it's like there was no modesty with the nurses and doctors because they had seen everything. Like I was on the toilet constantly, so it was just whatever. So I just begged her. I begged that surgeon, because she was also not my surgeon. She was, you know, that was just her day. She was part of the surgical team. But you know what? She reminded me of a woman who is like an aunt to me. She's extended family. I grew up with her, and she and her husband are like an aunt and uncle. They're like extended family. Like I feel like they're a part of our family. And the woman who I grew up with, she's from Hawaii, and she's soft and round and fluffy with, you know, beautiful, lovely brown skin. And she just has this like mother goddess moon face that just makes you happy to look at. And this surgeon, even though she was probably from like India or Pakistan, she had that same beautiful brown round mama goddess moon face that just made me feel safe and happy with her. I was like, please, you know, and I felt like I was talking to my aunt and my auntie and saying, please, please let me go home. And she said, okay, you can go home. Thank you. So even the first couple days after I came home, it's like I was still getting that dry air out of my lungs and detoxing stuff, and like even just trying to get enough food into me. I didn't really have an appetite. I was really kind of hard to get food in, also because everything tasted wrong. I think the hospital air and then the drugs and stuff, like everything tasted wrong. So I couldn't drink the celery juice. Even my lemon water tasted really funky. The only thing that tasted okay to me was oranges and sometimes wild blueberries. And I kept eating the wild blueberries because I was just thinking, they're the resurrection food. They're the resurrection food. Wild blueberries bring you back from anything. They help you rise from the ashes. And I was like, I have to eat the wild blueberries, because I couldn't do, everything was mono meal. I couldn't do anything mixed or smoothies or stuff like that yet. So I was having just like cucumber juice, because I couldn't even really do the celery juice or more than a couple ounces of the celery juice. I would have cucumber juice, I would have orange juice, I would have apple juice, I would have wild blueberries, and then a little later, when the wild blueberries started tasting weird to me, I had my husband put honey on them for me. And sorry for the noise. It's nice enough outside today that the windows are open, and so we can get some fresh air in here, and so you are hearing noises from the outside. I'm not outside, but I am by the window because that's where the light is coming from. So my husband would make me wild blueberries with honey, and so I would eat that, and I was able to eat papaya, but the papaya wasn't always ripe, so I could eat that. So it was just, I just ate what I could, and mostly it was oranges, because the oranges were the only thing that didn't taste weird and funny to me. And eventually stuff has started tasting normal, and I've been able to drink more celery juice. And today is my first day that I'm drinking 32 ounces of celery juice, and I'm really happy about that. But in the interim, cucumber juice has been saving me. I have gotten up to 16 ounces of celery juice. I am more into my normal routine because I was just eating things when I could eat them, and I wasn't trying to put them in order. Like have lemon water first, and then like I couldn't even do that. So I was drinking a lot of regular water, which I don't actually normally drink, just water plain, but it didn't taste weird, so like everything tasted weird. yeah, so now I'm back to 32 ounces of lemon water in the morning, which I can now make myself for the first, I mean, like yesterday and today, for the first couple days, and 32 ounces of celery juice. And I'm back to my heavy metal detox smoothie, which I've been having for a few days. First I started with half, and then when I was okay with that, I went to full. I'm so grateful for having the heavy metal detox smoothie, because all of that anesthetic and those drugs and all that crap that they put in me, I can get it out, and I'm so grateful, because it was anesthetic. That's some toxic stuff. You don't want to. I'm so glad I have a way to get it out of me. I'm just so glad I have a way to get it out of me. I'm so grateful for the medical medium information, because I couldn't. Do you know what they wanted to feed me in the hospital? The day after I had my gallbladder removed, it just said normal diet. Do you know what normal diet is in the hospital? They brought me a tray with scrambled eggs, bacon, and toast, and like a little fruit cup. And I was like, I can't eat any of that except the fruit cup. And I had them give me 2 of the fruit cups, because I was still waiting for my husband to bring. My husband brought all my food. And I'm like, I can't eat that. I just had my gallbladder out. And also, I'm allergic to gluten, eggs, and dairy, and pork. I was like, I couldn't believe, though, that they would have brought something. Like, it's no fault of the catering, whatever, for the hospital, because they don't know they only know what they're told. Like, so the nurses have to say what kind of diet or whatever, or the doctors have to say, because catering doesn't, like, they're not responsible for that. They just bring what they would bring. But I'm just like, how are you feeding this to anyone in here ever? Like, this is, oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. But especially after a gallbladder surgery, like, I can't make bile. And bile is what you need to digest fat. So what? I can't digest fat. What are you doing? Don't give me that. Even if I wasn't allergic to those things, like, don't give me that. But I just always, it's just so much easier to just tell them, you know, you're allergic to things, because to explain, like, oh, I don't eat that for other reasons. People understand allergy. So I'm just like, no, but I for real am allergic to gluten, though. Like, that's a real thing. But I was like, oh my gosh, I couldn't even believe that that's what they offered. But luckily, I mean, the hospital's like 20 minutes away from here, but my husband would every morning I would just tell him what I wanted that day. I was like, okay, today I want, you know, cucumber juice, apple juice, oranges, papaya, whatever. Like, I would tell him and he'd bring it to me. And so I always had fresh fruit, and they were like, wow, you're eating really well. And I was like, yeah, this is what I always eat. Like, I don't eat, this is my food. I mean, it's usually more smoothies, but I'm like, I can't eat all that stuff. I think I ate more in the hospital, actually, than I did once I got home. I had trouble building my food back up once I got home, but I got there. I did it. Now I'm in a more normal, like, I'm even eating some sweet potatoes and potatoes. I've had sweet potatoes, I've had potatoes, and I've had steamed cauliflower, all with kind of nothing. I did some salsa, really simple salsa of just like red onions, tomatoes, and cilantro and honey. I'm afraid to try any seasonings, really, other than a tiny bit of salt. I don't even really want to eat salt, but sometimes it's kind of like I need something. With the sweet potatoes, I just had like some crushed raw garlic and a little bit of salt. And then, like with the regular potatoes, at first I was just eating them plain, and then I added the salsa. I'm just keeping things really, really simple still, because I'm working up to more complex things. And then also my husband still has to make all my food, and I don't really want to make it complicated for him. Or for my digestion. I just feel like I need things really simple right now while I'm healing. So that's what I'm going through, and that's what I'm eating. And so every day I eat, like, now I'm eating you know, like I said, lemon water, celery juice, heavy metal detox smoothie. I'll eat like a papaya, maybe some oranges. I did try a little bit of a green smoothie yesterday with some greens just because I'm really craving greens. I really want them. I'm still a little afraid to eat them because sometimes they were a little bit of a trigger for episodes, and even though I don't have the gallbladder anymore, I still have the PTSD about it, so I'm a little afraid of that. But I did have a handful of greens in a smoothie yesterday with some fresh mango, fresh Adolfo mangoes. I don't know, I call them angel mangoes. I don't know what the real name is or how to pronounce it, Adolfo. But I call them angel mangoes because they're so delicious when they're ripe. They weren't quite ripe, so I put them in the smoothie with a bunch of honey and dates and some banana and a handful. I'm not sure how big the handful was, but it wasn't very dark, so I don't think it was very big, of greens. My husband made it for me, so. And then I had the sweet potato for dinner. Trying to think if I had anything else besides that. I don't think I did. So I'm getting there. I'm getting stronger. I'm still very weak and wobbly when I walk. I can't walk around very much. I get winded really easily. I was able to take a shower today. So I was really happy about that because I can't do it every day. It was like 3 days since I had had a shower, and I really wanted one because I get sweaty. Oh, here's the other thing. Here's the bonus really happy thing that happened. So my CPAP machine was making me cough whenever I would use it because of the, I don't know, the humidity with the air blowing and everything was because there's still that anesthetic in my body, and I have to cough up like mucus to get it out and stuff. And I have been. There's a thing that they give you to breathe, a little machine. I should have brought it in here so I could show you, but there's a little thing that they give you to breathe, and so you do inhale and breathe a certain amount, and it helps kind of like expel that stuff. So that's part of what's been making me cough and stuff. And I'm still coughing every day. Not a lot, but a little bit, like especially if I lay down. And I'm finally to where I don't have to sit up in bed. I can actually like lay down and sleep, like in my normal sleeping position. So that makes me happy. My bed always is a little bit tipped up at the head because I just prefer it that way. It feels better to me. But now I can sleep more normally. But one of the things that happened is, so my CPAP machine would make me cough every time. So I started just trying to sleep without it, because at least I could sleep for like an hour without it, even if I couldn't sleep like long stretches. And then I started sleeping long stretches. And look at my skin, you guys, because that whole time what was going on is I was reacting to the freaking silicone on the CPAP machine. That's what that was. My skin has been this clear since the surgery. Look at this. Look at it. Can you believe it? If you've watched my videos, you know that like for years, my skin has been, because I've been using the CPAP. I stopped using the CPAP. Like I was able to stop using it, and I can still breathe in my sleep, and I don't think I have apnea anymore, because I'm not like doing the thing that I would do before with apnea. I do cough, but I don't wake up coughing. I actually cough before I fall asleep, and that is the stuff coming up because of the anesthetic. Different time of day. Lighting's a little different. What happened earlier is the battery died, the third battery, and I only have 3, and so I had to charge a battery before I could finish the video. So now it is later in the day, and the lighting is completely different, and the cat is still in the same spot on the bed, so there's that. So now I'm having my heavy metal detox smoothie and finishing it. And okay, so I was talking about getting the anesthetic out. I was talking about not having to use my CPAP anymore. And yeah, so that was an exciting, unexpected bonus. I don't think I have sleep apnea anymore. I had been trying to see if I could even go for an hour without my CPAP before this all happened. And I just couldn't even sleep for an hour without it. But somehow all of the stuff that happened in the hospital made it impossible to sleep with it. And then it turns out I can totally sleep without it. And so I'm really excited. I've been sleeping without it for days. And as a result, my skin has been much clearer. The lighting looks, I'm sorry, I keep looking over into the viewfinder. The lighting looks just a little crazy right now. It's so bright. I even pulled the shade down a bit and it's still just so bright. But I am getting stronger and I am feeling better about things. I'll do another video where I kind of go over the journey of the recovery and stuff like that, because I did keep a journal of it. So my journal of recovery, I guess I'll probably call it. But there were some days where I didn't feel like I was gonna make progress and it felt kind of bleak, and it's good to now feel like I am definitely progressing and I'm definitely healing and I'm definitely getting stronger. And to be able to like make my son's lemon water this morning was a really big deal, and make mine, because I haven't been able to do that. And then I made my celery juice and even like washed off a couple of heads of celery to do it, and that was beautiful. Right before this all happened, a couple of really amazing things happened in my life where people gifted me with some things. Like I won some more pitaya, frozen pitaya, which was really cool, from Pitaya Plus. And Dr. Dick and Noel Shepherd of Healing in Seattle, that's their Instagram account, they sent me the celery juice juicer because I mentioned I wanted it in a story, and she said she just started thinking of me. Noel said she just started thinking about me, and she thought, I'm gonna send her that juicer. And I was like, well, do you have the juicer? And she's like, no, I didn't even buy it for myself yet. And I was like, oh my gosh, what an amazing thing. And so they had sent that to me right before the surgery. I haven't even gotten to use it yet because my husband is saving it for me for when I'm well enough. But I did start making a video comparing the two, so I am gonna eventually put together a video comparing the juicer I have now, which is an Omega, and to the new Omega celery juice, the MM950 HDS, I think it's called. I feel like it was like a gift from God and the angels saying like, we're with you throughout this process. And there were so many times throughout this process where I felt them with me. And there were a couple of times where I felt alone, but they were still there, but I just wasn't feeling anything. But I have an amazing friend, a couple of amazing friends, one of whom really held me up through this process when I was feeling the bleakest and weakest and most disconnected. And she just held me. She just held me, and she held space for me, and she prayed for me, and you guys all prayed for me. And I knew that I wasn't alone. And I will definitely go more into that when I do the video about my journal of recovery, because that part, oh my gosh, it has been such a gift to have that and to realize that I'm not going through this alone. There was another thing that happened that it's too private to talk about, but it was just something that really let me know that I wasn't alone, and that God and the angels were there for me, and that I wasn't going to have to go through this alone. What is going on with my batteries? I just charged this battery and it's saying it's dead. All right, I'm going to see how much I can get away with. Okay, I gotta go. This is making me go. It's making me cut it short. Thank you so much for watching, Healers and Health Seekers. Please tell me how you're doing. I've missed you so much, and tell me in the comments how you're doing. And if you are not subscribed to my channel, I guess you can give a thumbs up below. You can subscribe to my channel by hitting the subscribe button over there, ding the bell next to it. If you want to be notified when I post a new video, which I recommend because I'm inconsistent about my upload schedule, especially with what keeps happening. And I love you so much, and I miss you, and I wish you so many blessings for your continued healing journey. Always remember that you can heal, and I love you, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.